Yes, people, welcome to the corner, and we're just about in time to catch the Tongan hacker, so I will be muting my screen. Fewer greater sights in rugby than the sight of New Zealand or a Pacific Island team coming up against another team and using their own version of the haka or war dance. Of course, every nation will have its own version, as I've said, and you get a wonderful exposure to the culture of a nation. And of course, the opposing team always stands, all 22, arm in arm, with respect. And you are in the company of yours truly. Hanno might be joining us. And of course, I'm not too sure if he'll be watching this live on the telly with his family. I'm pretty sure he'll be disappointed with the result against Ireland. So South Africa need a bonus point win today to secure their spot in the quarterfinals. Of course, it is Siya Kolisi's 50th game as captain and 80th cap overall, and he's leading a rather inexperienced team with really only the likes of Eben Etzebeth, Handra Pollard, and I want to say also Grant Williams, who have any form of experience, over 50 caps for South Africa, and up against the Tongan team, which have looked good in this tournament. Now, the Fijian captain won the toss. Tamefuna, I believe, is captaining the team, and he opted to kick first. So we're just about to start proceedings. Thankfully, I don't have a stopwatch because I wouldn't know how to operate that, even if you paid me. And Etzebeth, of course, staring on. He's captained the Springboks before. Pearce, Carley, and Ridley from England and Cronin from Australia are the officials. Pearce, of course, is the man on the field. Another English referee, a bit like Wayne Barnes. And so Fiji will be kicking off and attacking from right to left of the television screen. So South Africa are going from left to right. Fiji did opt to kick, and Kolisi had no hesitation in opting to go from left to right. And the kickoff is there, and it should be easily claimed. Actually, it's not claimed. And, a very interesting turn of events has seen the ball end up going into touch with neither team claiming it. South Africa were expected to claim that. And well, in the end, it was the South African lock. I believe that was Marvin Ori who was supposed to get that, but he ended up not getting it. So it is, in fact, a Tongan line-out to be taken by the number 2, Paul Nguamo. And will they claim it? Yep, a short one claimed by the number 4, Halaeva Fifita. And Tonga are immediately making inroads into their South African defense. A chance for them to try and move forward. The big tight head prop, Tamefuna, moving ahead, but South Africa get the ball back, and some pretty poor ball handling has seen that attack go astray. But it looks as though Tonga might have a penalty and a chance to make up for that. Yep, offside against South Africa. So, as I've said, rugby is one of those games where you can at least follow the rules as you go along. So will Tonga decide to try and take advantage of this attack by going for the try, or do they kick a penalty and hand it back to South Africa? Because mind you, this South African team are very aggressive going forward. Great work there from the tight head prop. It looks as though they've gone for the kick because they probably don't trust themselves to try and move with the ball forward. So The Tongan fly half is number 10, William Havili, and it's his first kick of the game. Not quite dead centre, but definitely close enough for him to be able to pop it between the posts. And will we see the first points on the board with 2 minutes and 7 seconds having gone? Yes, we will. Curled beautifully over, and the scoreline is, of course, now South Africa 0, Tonga 3. A nice little penalty from William Havili to upset the scoreboard early on, and South Africa kick this forward, and this one will be claimed. And opting to kick it forward, but after an awkward bounce, it falls straight into South Africa's hands. And it is, of course, it was Jasper Wiese, the number 8, who reclaimed that, and immediately with their quick passing, South Africa can try and move forward. Some good action along the wing. The number 11 is Makazole Mapimpi, also very experienced. And South Africa again moving forward, this time switching from left to right. And that looks like a penalty against Tonga. We're going to find out the infringement. Yep, not rolling away from the ruck. So immediately opting to kick that into touch. And South Africa have a line out. Very close to the Tongan goal line. So a chance to respond to that rather surprising beginning by bursting forward and scoring. Even Etzebeth with his experience and leadership coming up. And it is the South African hooker, Dion Fourie, who threw that. And now we're in with a maul almost. Well, ironically, Fourie couldn't release the ball. Eventually, he was able to get it forward, but pretty poor handling from the South Africans. And the referee Pierce has spotted an infringement. We're going to find out what goes on here. But now, well, a Tongan penalty for being in at the side. South Africa quickly took that penalty, and they have scored a try with the Tongan defence not really prepared for that. Blink and you miss it. So just going to update the score there. And don't have any people in at the chat at this time as of yet, but well, Pierce has obviously blown for that. And a pretty cheeky piece of play there, but very effective indeed. So we're going to find out who scored the try in a minute, but Andrew Pollard has come into the team now. Sensationally, is now fly half, of course. He was injured, so missed out on the original party, but was always going to be a stand-in. And it's his first kick, and he's just managed to curl it in. So the conversion is good, but thin margins there. And South Africa are 7-3 ahead. And it was the South African scrum half, rather, Jacobus Reinach, who had a very cheeky piece of play where he tipped it and caught it and moved all the way forward. So he saw an opening, and credit to him, he was able to make the most of it. This time around, no nonsense from the Fijian kickoff. That is easily claimed. And South Africa are now trying to move it from their half, and Tonga will have it all to do. And Tonga will need to be careful because they cannot afford to concede penalties here. And that is hooked away into touch just before the halfway line. So South Africa going along reasonably nicely here. And South Africa will need 3 more tries to secure the bonus point. Tongan line out, a short one, which is easily claimed. And Tonga can try and move forward. And credit to the South African defence for having people in the right places, but this is a promising-looking Tongan attack here, and it is the Tongan number 8 who tries to push it forward. And once again, it is the big, burly Fijian number 3 who was able to release that, and Tonga moving forward now, trying to find holes in the South African defence and succeeding quite well indeed. And Tonga now showing some really good intent here. This is some good play from Tutai Kefu's boys. Tutai Kefu obviously seeing his former coach Eddie Jones end Australia's campaign with a very unimpressive win against Portugal. Yes, they got the bonus point, and South Africa have they reclaimed that? Nope. It was Mapimpi who was trying to kick that away and possibly reclaim that by himself, but the Tongan defence said, nope, not tonight, Makazole. And we're going to find out if a penalty has been awarded here. And certainly a really bruising piece of play involving Tonga and South Africa there. And you can see the intent now. It was Reinach who actually had the ball took the ball away from him, but apparently illegally so. And Tonga do have a much heavier pack than South Africa, about 70 kilograms heavier. So we're going to see if they're able to make some good use of that as they pack down for a Tongan scrum. And it is the Fijian scrum half. I mean, the Tongan scrum half, rather. Augustine Pulu, who has the ball. And yep, he's released that. And some good passing, but excellent pass, and there's a free man down the left, but some good alert defending there from South Africa sees that go awry. Still in the ruck, though, and it's released. And this is some really, really good stuff from Tonga, and Tutai Kefu definitely has them playing a very good brand of rugby, very fast, and a South African penalty for not rolling away from the ruck, so Tonga can continue to move forward. I'm not sure they'll be very eager to take the penalty, because that would reduce the arrears only by 3 points and leave them 6-7 behind. They know that one more South African try will really increase their lead, and instead Havili opts to kick it into touch. Pretty good decision there, and a bit of a hasty decision from the Tonga number 11, Anzelo Tutavuki, to try to jink in. Ended up being tackled by the South African defence. But it is a Tongan line-out very close to the South African goal. And a short line-out here, and that is passed straight to the number 3, Tamei Funa. Definitely a huge battering ram for Tonga with his size and presence. Tonga still going forward, inching ever closer to the goal line, but South Africa desperately defending. Tonga do have men outside, though. If they do score a try, it would be quite magnificent. They certainly showed their capabilities against Ireland. Could they cause a shock against the South Africans? And the ball has been released, but do the Fijians, Tongans have it, rather? Well, there's some action close to the goal line, rather. Still trying to release the ball. They still don't quite have it yet. I think have they crossed? Have they crossed? And the opportunity is gone, I think. We're going to find out what the call is from the referee. It's all happening out there in Marseille, and certainly the Tongans are proving that they're no pushovers. Almost looked a forward pass to Tamei Funa, but he was able to burst right in there and really make the most of it. But Tonga do still have the ball, and they are very, very close. And in fact, it is a penalty against South Africa for serious foul play. I mean, not serious per se, but it looks as though Tonga are going to get an opportunity to try and cross over again. And if they do, it will definitely put the cat amongst the pigeons. Tamei Funa, once again, outstanding. Once again, this is live coverage of the pool game between South Africa and Tonga from Marseille. And you are watching it live here on the Coach's Corner. You can see his size and his weight definitely pushing it through. And Well, it is in fact going to be a Tongan scrum, so once again it is the scrum half Pulu who has the ball. And the Tongan pack certainly using its weight to good effect. And that is released. And is there a man free? Well, is the Tonga number 13 who tried to move forward but was stopped in his tracks. Number 5 now is being sort of hauled back. But once again, Tonga coming through. The South African defence outstanding. But this is really encouraging stuff if you're a Tongan fan. If you're a South African fan, it's desperate viewing in the 13th minute of the game. Tamefuna moving forward, taking a few Springboks with him. The Fijian number 12 now bustling forward, the big centre. Pula releases it. And Tonga still can't quite get over as of yet, but they're still relentlessly attacking. Released. Tamefuna barging ahead. I mean, it's basically for just moving a few meters and falling to ground, but it is effective. And that was not the best of decisions. Well, the kick actually was missed by the South African, but fortunately for the Springboks, it went into touch. And Tamefuna lying on the ground there. I think he will know that there was an opportunity missed, but it is in fact a penalty against South Africa for offside. So Tonga are getting even closer to scoring a try. They're very close to the goal line. So do they decide to continue, or will they just go for goal and be done with it? I think their mentality is that scoring a try would be better, because they know that if South Africa do get the ball in their hands once again, they will, in all likelihood, be trusted to score. And I'll tell you one thing, Willie LaRue over there, who was supposed to catch that, was very lucky that he fumbled it away, because the Tonga number 14, Fine Anisi, was coming up there, and some very impressive stats for the Tongans right now. They've literally had the South Africans under the cosh. So far, it's the South Africans' experience and nous which is getting them through. But South Africa conceding 3 of the last 5 penalties, including 3 of the 5 penalties awarded, including the last 3 in succession, doesn't look good for them. So it looks as though they're going to try one more time. Augustin Havili has the ball in his hand, and he has now opted to kick it well straight into touch. Basically meters away from the goal line. And I think we could possibly see Hanno coming back during the break to possibly talk about it. But here's the Tongan line out, very well caught. Tamefuna bustling in, and some good South African defensive work there. And I think South Africa have managed to reclaim the... Oh, they haven't reclaimed it. Well, we already see some tempers fraying there, and Tonga having 78% of the territory to South Africa's 22. A bruising start from the Pacific Islanders, but at the moment it is a South African line-out, and they win it easily enough. But the ball is dropped, and do South Africa still have it? Yes, they do, but only just. The Tongans are making life very difficult for the Springboks. They're not going to give up this campaign to score a try without a fight. And they certainly showed how good they could play, how well they could play against the Irish. But South Africa able to hook that away with... it was, in fact, Reinach who saw the scrum half who sort of hooked that right-footed away. But once again, we see Tonga, Tamefuna, touching down with the ball. And I think because he probably touched down, he wasn't able to keep control of that. But it is now a Tongan line-out, and that is very well won indeed. And some great stuff here from Tonga. Crisp passing, well received. And August, that was Havili there trying to move through. Tonga being pushed back a bit, but they still have the ball. And a terrific pass to the Tongan number 2, Nguamo. And the ball is forced out of touch. And we're going to find out what goes on. We've already got a couple of comments here. 18 people in here. Smash that like button and also subscribe. Couldn't agree more. And the Springboks have made 49 tackles to Tonga's 9. And you can clearly see that there are a few players waiting in the wings who would have loved to have been a part of this particular game and whose presence might be missed. But at the moment, it is Nguamo with the ball. A Tongan line-out. Well claimed. Great passing once again. And some good movement from Tonga. They are literally looking to make amends for that missed opportunity. And very near, almost a forward pass there, but it is with the Tonga number 14, who barely has the ball, but moves forward well enough. And some excellent yardage here from Tonga. The Tonga number 6 now, Halai Fonua with the ball. And the ball still not being received, so Andy Pearce is going to have to intervene, and he does. And we're going to find out what the infringement is. Willie LaRue running in to sort of reclaim that. It looks as though it could be a penalty against Tonga. We'll find out the reason why. I think it's fair to say that Hanno is probably watching the proceedings while also watching the telly at his home in the Northern Cape province in South Africa. Clearly, this is a must-win game for South Africa with a bonus point essential. And, that was a very risky-looking pass, but along a straight line, you could say. And LaRue will probably be very happy to see that move go awry. South African line out now. And that is well claimed by the number 7, Dwayne Vermeulen. Vermeulen, rather. And it is a maul taking place right now with everyone standing up. Once again, thanks to Hanno for explaining the difference between a ruck and the maul for people who may not be well aware of the rules, myself included. And a high kick in the air, that should be easily claimed. And the Tongan number 11, I have to stop saying Fiji, man. This is ridiculous. But, yeah, the number 11, Tuita Vuki, claimed that perfectly, but it is back with South Africa now. And into the Tongan half, where they can cause a little bit of damage. Oh, and very lucky there, but it is the South African number 13, the ball taking a very fortunate bounce indeed. Kanan Moody there taking advantage of some rather awkward bounce. The try has been awarded. And you could say this is rather unfortunate for Tonga indeed, because obviously it was it wasn't necessarily considered a knock-on there, but obviously it bounced up, and Moody was the first to claim that. And all he had to do was just run along the center and just touch right down. So South Africa are now ahead 12-3. And if Pollard kicks this, it will be 14-3. So Tonga have played some really terrific rugby, but all they have to show is a 3rd-minute penalty. Since then, South Africa have scored 2 converted tries and are looking definitely on course to secure the bonus point win, which will give them the advantage. Yeah, you can see over there with South Africa losing the ball that it bounced up off his hand, but Tonga unable to take advantage of that, and the Springboks have a 2nd try. Oops. Don't want to see any sign of that. Daz in the chat, good to see you, mate. I'm all right, thank you, and I hope you're well. And an excellent kick there from Havili, but easily claimed. And South Africa can try and make something happen here. We've got a small ruck going on. High kick, hoping to get that into touch, but that should be, well, it just goes into touch. Andy Pearce, though, seems to have obviously told play to go back a little bit. We're going to find out what's going on here. Yep, it is in fact a line-out, and it is a Tongan line-out. So Nguama will be taking this one again, and Tonga will hope that they get to win this one. It's a long one, but eventually they end up winning it with the the Tongan player doing well to sort of flick that back onto his side. Tamefuna, the big fella, moving ahead. Moves a few steps forward, but then goes to ground almost immediately. But then clearly his size is always a threat. And Tonga once again trying to take the ball forward, but some great defensive work from the South Africans. Willie LaRue reclaiming that perfectly, and Mapimpi also taking that forward. Some really good rugby going on. I accept that I'm not really the best commentator when it comes to rugby, because I can hardly remember most of these guys' names, and I don't have the advantage of having jersey names on their jerseys either, unlike with England, of course. But we're going to find that there's an infringement over here, and we're going to find out what Andy Pearce says. Tonga have certainly not disgraced themselves, but I think it's a case of the experience of South Africa shining through. But an important line-out win there for Tonga, because had South Africa claimed that, they could have easily moved forward with it. And kick forward from Havili, hoping to find the uneven bounce, but LaRue was able to claim that. Mapimpi took it even further. And you can see the frustration over there from Tonga, because they know that they need to take advantage of these chances. Tonga have led South Africa in terms of possession to the tune of 61% to 39%, but they just haven't been able to really capitalize on it. And I think this South Africa team obviously came here with a purpose, and they know that 2 more tries will give them a bonus point as long as they're able to secure the win. But credit to Tonga, they've not disgraced themselves at all. And Scotland against Ireland will definitely be a huge, huge, huge game for both of the British Isles teams. It is a South African scrum with Reinach to orchestrate it. And it's still not quite released yet, but now it is. And South Africa have men in different pockets in different areas, but Tonga is still holding back. Reinach to Visa. Back with Reinach, who releases it. Nice pass forward, and the uneven bounce, it ends up being reclaimed eventually by Tonga. A nice little flick backward pass there. And Tonga do still have the ball, but they're still deep into their own half, so they have to release it and try and take it forward. Pulu passing it out. A huge kick forward, and does that go into touch? Very well done indeed. And despite the fact that they're ahead by 11 points, you can see that South Africa are taking this seriously, and they do not want to run the risk of Tonga being able to burst forward and possibly score. Dion Fourie, the 37-year-old hooker, will be taking this line out. Should be an easy claim for South Africa, and it is. It is Ori who was able to claim that well enough, rising high above everyone. And we have a huge maul going on over here, which eventually sees Reinach releasing the ball to the number 12, Esterhuizen. Esterhuizen trying to take it forward, but caught in the ruck now. And desperate defending right now is the order of the day for Tonga. unable to really stop the South Africans surging forward, and that will be kicked into touch. And so you can see the frustration on Tonga's fans, because they know they played some great rugby, with most of the time the ball being in South Africa's half. Although South Africa have now scored 2 tries. South Africa's offence has been on point, and their defence has been good enough. I think, could it be fair to say that Tonga have just lost their way? A huge maul going forward. Tonga's heavier pack at the moment being moved towards the goal line, and still not quite able to release the ball as of yet. And Pearce has awarded a penalty. Going to find out against whom. Well, there is no penalty. I believe it is a turnover, and that is the first turnover that Tonga have won. So their defence has now stood up to be counted. Well, again, we're seeing some really good cinematography over here, and you can see all the emotions from the players as they go through this, and some pretty eye-catching eyewear among the fans in the stand. So it's a turnover and a Tongan scrum, and Augustine Pulu will take this and try and orchestrate a Tongan move forward. Is this released well enough? It is, and eventually kicked into touch by Havili. And you can see here South Africa are desperate to try to keep Tonga on the back foot. Reinach hoping to charge that down, but ultimately unsuccessful. Magnificent stadium in Marseille tonight, home to this engrossing encounter. Fourie with the line out, and South Africa still have the ball very close to the Tongan goal line, so released well enough by Reinach. Esterhuizen and the number 10, Pollard moving forward. Leroux. Mapimpi tackled, but then Reinach releases it, and South Africa is still moving forward. Their movement has been a lot better than Tonga's. More likely to score a try now, and South Africa still having trouble releasing it. It is Nche, the loose head prop, trying to move forward, but invariably caught. And penalty against Tonga for being in at the side. So you can't go into a ruck along the side. It has to be going forward, I believe. And apparently there's a passage of play that has been referred to the TV officials. So we're going to find out what the possibility is. And Pimpy taken down there quite well, and ending up losing the ball. And you can see the bruising effects of the play, but could there be a possible foul over here by one of the Tongan players, leading to a sin bin? We're going to see what happens here. Well, I think fortunately for the For the Tongan player, there is no... Well, it is a penalty because of a high tackle. Is there a sin bin? We're coming up to the half-hour mark here in this game, and there has been a replacement. I believe Mapimpi has in fact gone off to be replaced by the number 23, Jesse Creel. Right, so we'll take a look at the line out now to be taken by Fury, and South Africa win that quite well. A long line out, rising high for that, and South Africa is still bruising towards the line. A huge maul taking place right now with many players on their feet. Trying to burst forward, but the Tongan defence holding firm. Reinach releases it to Esterhuizen, who tries to move forward, but eventually loses the ball, and Augustine Pulu there is able to reclaim that, but is there another penalty against Tonga for being in at the side? Not looking good, and Reinach this time once again trying to be too clever, but Pearce saying none of that this time, son. And I'll get to your comments right now once we have this passage of play done. It looks as though the South Africans are going to still try and force the try with half an hour and half a minute having just gone. And Tonga have now conceded the last 4 penalties in succession. So clearly this level of indiscipline is hurting Tutai Kefu's men. Otherwise, they'd certainly be a team to be reckoned with. And coming up against the likes of South Africa, Ireland, and even Scotland, Tonga probably weren't expected to, cause too many problems. But they have played some excellent quality rugby. And I think with more and more experience, they will certainly become a bigger force to be reckoned with. Bori with the line out. Easily claimed by Ori. And huge maul once again. South Africa trying to push them forward, but Fiji's heavier pack pushing them back. But there's a huge drive forward. Buri does have the ball in his hands and hoping to touch down. And has he touched down? Yes, he has. So that's another try for South Africa. And they've managed to really make their intentions very clear. It is the hooker, Dion Thury, who actually was able to cross over with the ball in his hand. And we're going to see this passage of play again. The line out claimed by Ori, and you could see the huge maul with South Africa's lighter, but probably more mobile pack moving forward, pushing Tonga back expertly. And obviously with Thury having the ball in his hand, he was able to cross over quite well and touch down easily. You can see what it means to the Springboks because they needed to bounce back from the chastening loss to the Irish, and they've done so quite well. So Pollard, who's come straight back into the team. Once again from off centre, he converted a similar one earlier in the game, and he makes no mistake here. And so sadly, for all of Tonga's endeavour, they now find themselves 18 points behind. It's effectively a triumph so far of South African nous and experience against Tongan inexperience and mistakes. But once again, there is a lot for Tonga to be happy with. And I will now get to some of the comments over here. Over 20 people in here, as Hannah has said. Of course, Tonga haven't been able to win a single game, but their final game should be a win over Romania, which will provide them a little bit of confidence and solace moving forward. Potential group of death, of course, and Tonga, once again, you could see the haste with which they play, not quite able to find their men with the pass. away from the rugby, I am, yes, indeed, looking forward to the Cricket World Cup, and I'm not too sure we'll be able to provide any watch-alongs for some of the games, because 50-over games obviously can go on for a total of about maybe 6 hours or so. But we will definitely provide a lot of analysis and in-depth talk about the news concerning the tournament and teams. And if possible, maybe we could try a watch-along on a Sunday for the final, but we will cross that bridge when we come to it. And I did mention that the ref is English, Andrew Pearce, and Coach's Corner saying, yes, he most definitely is English. So a Tongan scrum, Augustin Pulu once again trying to orchestrate it, but the apparently Pearce has seen something he doesn't really like. And it's not a good sign when you see a scrum collapsing like that. So the scrum commences once again. Pulu eventually releasing the ball, and Tonga moving sideways, and some really well. Eventually, they're able to to hold on to it, and some good passing there. And well, Andy Pearce has seen something he clearly didn't like there with the South Africans attempting to intercept, and clearly some words being exchanged between Willie LaRue and company. Offside against South Africa. So 5 minutes to go until halftime, and Tonga still have a chance to try to make some inroads. And Havili kicks that well into touch. A sort of a quick, hasty release there from the scrum. And you can see still, basically it was Vermeulen who was trying to, Avisa rather, who was trying to drive the team forward. A lot of people saying that Tonga now are on the receiving end of what they call a bacapolypse, but that was an excellent line out there, expertly won by Tonga. And they're now trying to push forward with the but it is the hooker now, Nguamo, who has it, and still trying to move forward, but some pretty, once again, solid Springbok defending, but still pushing forward, still edging closer to that South African goal line. If they can score a try over here, it'll make it interesting, but not too interesting, because remember, South Africa 3 converted tries to the good. And have they crossed over? Well, obviously trying to move over the goal line. I don't think they've crossed, but a chance for, and yes! Yes, they've crossed over. Tonga have crossed over and scored a try, and it is their big, bruising number 3, Tamefuda, Captain Fantastic, who was crossed over to give Tonga their first try of the game. A momentous moment indeed, because now Tonga have something to show for their dominance this game. And if they can convert this, and if Havili can convert this, then they will reduce the arrears from 18 to 11. Great movement again, and Nguamo jinking and moving away, and Tonga holding onto the ball there for dear life, and Tamefuna touching down. And I wonder if this is going to go to the television monitor, because I mean, it looked as though he had just touched over and then moved the ball away. Nope, the try's been given. And so Vincent Havili has the chance to increase Tonga's score to double figures. He's had a 100% success rate with a more straightforward kick, but this is away to the left, and he is, in fact, left-footed. So something that a certain Jonathan Wilkinson used to nail time and time again when he was playing for England. Can Havili get this over? No, he just skims it wide. So not really the best conversion there, but Tonga will be very happy to have scored a try before half-time, and that will give their players and their fans a little bit of confidence moving forward. Coming into the last minute of the half right now, and a long kick, but nearly fumbled there by the Tongan number 5, Sam Lucy, the lock, but eventually it is released. And Pulu eventually trying to release it. Does he release it eventually? Yep. And it is a hooked kick, and that goes into touch. So an excellent recovery from going 3 tries down. They would have loved the conversion. It would have certainly helped matters. I'm not too sure the South Africans would have been very happy seeing Tonga score that try. So definitely something on which to build for the Pacific Islanders, but for the moment, South Africa is still dominant. And it is Dion Fury with the line out, expertly claimed. And Esterhuizen moving forward, taking 2 Tongans with him. And that is Pollard, of course, who passes it forward. Actually, that was Reinhard who passed it to Pollard, rather. Reinhard who passed it to Pollard, rather. It is still Reinach who tries to release it. And it is Vermeulen who now tries to move forward. Pollard to Esterhuizen. Reinach again releasing it, trying to move forward. Some huge tackles coming in. Fury with the ball. Reinach releasing it. Vermeulen eventually getting it into the 8th phase. Vermeulen trying to move forward, but Tonga still snapping at their heels. And you can see the Springbok attack coming in from all directions, very relentless. Etzebeth now, the experienced Springbok, moving forward. The loose head prop, Nche. Releasing it now to the number 23, Creel, but brilliant interception there from the Fijian number 15, Pietau. Take a bow, son. That was brilliant. Quick hands, and Tonga can, in fact, release the pressure, and that will be the end of the first half. So, at half-time in Marseille, a very engrossing first half of rugby between these 2 teams. South Africa obviously starting quite brilliantly with 3 converted tries. Response to a very quick Tongan penalty, but Tonga obviously showing a great deal of dominance and coming back into the match as best they could, and deservedly touching down. They would have liked a conversion with Vincent Havili skewing that wide, but definitely something to work on, and Coach's Corner agrees, Hanno agrees rather, a very well-worked try from Tonga. So, Hanno, hopefully if you're still watching, maybe we can get you in either now during the break or at the very least at the end to maybe offer some insights from you on how the game has gone. I'm sure you might be happy with how the South African attack has certainly looked very, lively and sort of drilled, but Tonga have definitely shown some really good defense, and, the power that they have in their pack can, in fact, make a difference if they're able to do so. But at the moment, at halftime, it is South Africa 21, Tonga 8. South Africa need 1 try to secure a bonus point if they're able to win. And that will mean that it's all to play for Scotland. If they lose to Ireland, then their tournament will be over. But they can certainly look back at having played some decent rugby, except, of course, against South Africa, where they were clearly second best. Of course, away from the rugby, we did have a match in the English Premier League today, and I believe Hanno was hosting a watch-along for that. It was Nottingham Forest against Brentford, And Brentford did, in fact, take the lead, but Forest, despite going down to 10 men, were able to recover and secure a 1-1 draw. So, obviously, Forest were banking on their excellent home record last season, where they secured wins, of course, against Arsenal and held the likes of Manchester City to a draw. But this time around, they haven't performed badly, I would say, but they certainly haven't shown signs of being able to push forward for a spot in Europe. And it could very well be another season of mid-table mediocrity, or even worse, another relegation dogfight. Although, mind you, if they do manage to avoid relegation and stay up comfortably, it will be an improvement from last season. And on the telly, we're seeing some snippets of games being played earlier. I don't need to see any of that. And so, yeah, the ticker is, of course, going down here. Don't forget to smash a like and subscribe to the Coach's Corner. And please, if once you are subscribed, do turn on the notifications. You will be notified whenever we go online with different programs as well. Catch Hanno on Instagram at Hanno_coach_corner. His Twitter handle is at the rate of Hanno 70830030, and his TikTok is Coach's Corner 1. Now I'm going to take a look at the tables to see. And of course, that miss from William Havili was his first in the World Cup, and it wasn't a good time to miss that, because had they raised the score to double digits, it would have certainly given them a huge psychological boost. But Tameifuna, obviously his ball carrying skills have been outstanding. And obviously Tonga have had the better of the territory, 50-50 on possession. But you can clearly see that the experience and nows of the South Africans has shone through. And if we take a look at the tables, I want to make sure that we get this one right here. So in Pool A, of course, France are leading with 13 points to New Zealand's 10. Italy are also on 10, but of course New Zealand did beat Italy earlier. And so New Zealand's final game, which I believe should be against Uruguay, will be a must-win, and we could trust them to certainly get the points they need. France and Italy could be an absorbing game indeed, because it's normally... in fact, let me share the table with you right now. Where are my manners? Please excuse me. Yep, World Cup table. Here we are, folks. So, confirmation. Pool A sees France and New Zealand looking likely to go through, but do not discount Italy, who are, in fact, on 10 points and do have a couple of bonus points themselves. New Zealand have 2 bonus points of their own to France's 1. And so this could very well actually lead to an interesting round of games, because France and Italy could very well be absorbing. France have looked exceptionally energetic. Certainly a very young team in terms of experience and caps earned, whereas New Zealand obviously have all of those caps with the likes of Sammy Whitelock. He could end up playing his 150th game for New Zealand and obviously striking new ground. I don't think he will go on to beat Alan Wynne-Jones's record of 170, but what a magnificent career that fella has had for the All Blacks. And in Pool B, what's going on over here? Well, obviously, South Africa will be playing their last game, and if they get a bonus point here, they will finish on 11 points. So Scotland will definitely need to beat Ireland and gain a bonus point of their own, and hope that South Africa will end up losing. I don't see them losing. I can't see them losing to... I think they'll be playing Romania. So it's all to do for Scotland, and South Africa should be pretty much home and dry. And it's a bit of a travesty of justice when you take a look at the draw. You see Pool A's winners coming up against Pool B's runners-up, and Pool A's runners-up coming up against Pool B's winners. So we could effectively see New Zealand coming up against Ireland and South Africa facing France. probably the four best teams in the tournament, and only one of them could end up playing in the final. But I do predict that the winner will come from one of these two pools. If we take a look at Pool C, Wales have certainly looked very impressive and have, shown why they're now favourites to go quite far. They could potentially make the semi-finals themselves. Australia's tournament, quite frankly, has been a disastrous. They've earned 3 bonus points, but with a negative points difference of 1 in their games having been played, they are going to depend on a miracle. If Fiji end up losing very badly to Portugal and not even gaining a single bonus point, then Australia will end up going through, but I cannot see that happening. Portugal have not looked good all tournament, and obviously they drew with Georgia, but that was really as good as it got for them. And there's going to be a lot of reflection for Australia after the tournament, and several players could very well have played their last match for the Wallabies, including among them the likes of James Slipper, the former captain. Jones will probably be staying on, and I think Australia have realised that having made their bed with him, they're just going to have to lie in it. England, of course, reached the quarterfinals without having to worry about what to do in their last match, thanks to Japan's win, I believe. And for them, of course, their final game will be a formality. It will be against Japan, which will be a very intriguing matchup indeed. Argentina and Samoa could also be a potential match to decide who will join England in the quarterfinals. I'm looking to see England playing Fiji and Wales playing either Japan or Argentina. So this could very well be a very interesting turn of events here. And Wales could potentially reach a semi-final. England could have their work cut out against the Fijians. And so let's see if we've got any comments. Another reminder from the Coach's Corner. If you want to watch more watch-alongs like this, then do like and subscribe. If you enjoy cricket and football or soccer or even rugby or what have you, then this is definitely the channel for you. I'm not too sure, Hanno, you're interested in hockey, because I do remember the Asia Cup being played over here, and of course India winning that by beating Malaysia in the final. And obviously South Africa do have a hockey team of their own. But I don't think you played hockey when you were a child in hockey at school. I think cricket and rugby and football are more of your cups of tea, as it were. I do enjoy watching hockey. Couldn't really tell you the in-depth rules of the game, and I have tried my hand at hockey once. The only problem is, with me being left-handed, it was almost difficult to hold the stick at one point. I have since then gotten used to, just using my stronger hand being on the top and just using the weaker hand to sort of provide the direction as it moves forward. Still haven't had a chance to play. Would like to try it again if I get the chance, but it is what it is. And still got some advertisements running, not really good. Another huge headline from yesterday, of course, obviously Arsenal beating Bournemouth 4-0, Aston Villa thrashing Brighton, Luton Town getting their first win, much to Hanno's delight. He does have a soft spot for Luton, of course. Manchester United continuing their dreadful season with another dreadful home loss. New Zealand beat Newcastle beating Burnley, West Ham beating Sheffield United, Spurs beating Liverpool in a very controversial late kickoff yesterday. But the big talking point was Manchester City losing their 100% Premier League record, completely subdued by Gary O'Neill's Wolves, a Wolves team which began the season with a great deal of, uproar. I wouldn't say uproar necessarily, but with the deck stacked against them. Several of their best players, including Ruben Neves, had in fact left the club. But this time around, I think when they came up against City, a City team that wasn't really at its best, they did have a really talented lineup, as they always do, but they completely struggled to make any kind of headway. Phil Foden, Julian Alvarez, Erling Haaland, Jeremy Doku, the ex-Wolf, Mateus Nunes, started in the center of the defensive midfield alongside Mateo Kovacic. And it was Walker, Akanji, Ruben Diaz, and Nathan Ake in the back four. And they still weren't able to break down this Wolves team lining up in the 3-4-3, who actually stifled any kind of creativity and actually took advantage of a lot of defensive awkwardness, for want of a better word, to take a well-deserved lead. Of course, City did equalise through a beautiful Alvarez free kick, but it was Hee Chan Hwang, an international teammate of a certain Heung Min Son, who put the Wanderers ahead, and that was how it stayed. So obviously a lot of talk was about how City had started to show some weakness and a few cracks had started to appear, but don't be surprised if they end up turning things around against Leipzig in the upcoming Champions League. And also, ominously enough, Arsenal have to play them at the Emirates. We look good against Bournemouth, but Bournemouth and Manchester City are chalk and cheese. And obviously some highlights of that Tongan try from the captain. Ben Tameifuna. And of course, the headline is that the Wallabies are not out yet, but as far as I'm concerned, they are out. And this really has not been a good campaign. The loss to Fiji was an absolute disaster. The loss to Wales was a catastrophe. And certainly losing their captain, Jimmy Skelton, didn't help. Ben Parecki hasn't exactly led the team too well. But, you know, it is what it is. And Australia have to find a way to lick their wounds and move forward. Australia, of course, have won the World Cup twice in 1991 when Nick Farr-Jones's men beat England at Twickenham, and in 1999 thanks to the Herculean efforts of John Eales, who led the team quite brilliantly. Those days, of course, are long gone. And we are now back in time for the second half, so let me just change the banner right now. And it is, in fact, the second half, and they're just about to get underway. And it is kicked high, with South Africa moving from right to left, but well claimed by Havili. And, charge down there, but Fiji do end up reclaiming the ball, and no harm done. And some good movement along the wing, and that ball eventually goes into touch. Fine Anisi there, the number 14, with the... well, that was in fact charged down by Etzebeth, but no South African was able to claim that. And it is now a South African line-out with Dion Fury doing the honours. Easily claimed in the end, and a huge maul at the moment, moving forward. Fury has the ball in his hand, obviously. Trying to gain a little bit of yardage. And eventually the ball is still not released yet. And Reinach very much in the thick of it, trying to release it. And eventually it is released. And South Africa trying to move forward with the ball in their hands. Dwayne Vermeulen moving in. Reinach hooking it into the air. Will that be claimed? Yep, Inisi showing safe hands, but it's knocked out of his hand. And Fiji do reclaim it eventually. Augustin Pulu there. Can he release the ball? That's a bit sort of coming in there to try and, snatch it from him, but to no avail. And some excellent movement from Tonga there. And Inisi kicking that ball into touch. And obviously, Khaleesi, the captain of the Springboks, tried to prevent him from moving forward, but yeah, you could see there the ball slipping out of the Tongan players' hands, but eventually they've been able to move forward with it. And some good work from Khaleesi preventing Inisi going forward, but Inisi able to kick that into touch. And another line out easily claimed by Ori this time. No line outs lost, but Fury passing it to Esterhuizen, number 12. Reinach, who finds Esterhuizen again. Reinach to, this time, the tight head prop, Vincent Koch. Reinach again. Willie LaRue, the fullback. Overhead to what looks like Kanan Moody, who actually scored South Africa's second try, rather. Nche, the loose head prop. Reinach out to Koch again. And not quite a turnover, but actually South Africa do get it back anyway. And Jesse Creel, who was the early replacement for Mapimpi in the first half. Ori, the lock, who normally claims the South African lineouts. Reinach. And that was, of course, Fury. Reinach to Pollard. Switch of directions there, but Tonga are alert to that. Reinach to Esterhuizen. He's got Moody on his left, but Tonga forced that ball into touch. And some excellent rugby from two very physical teams indeed. Some more comments here. Chelsea fan, big up to you. Thanks for joining in. And yes, Hannah should be happy. But obviously a fourth try will, put the matter to bed, at least in theory. Because the way Tonga have played, mind you, especially with Tameifuna carrying the ball and some good movement from his players, this game might end up being quite close. Some praise for the way Andrew Pearce has gone about his job. I do believe there is a few replacements being made. Yes, the loose head prop Nche has been forced off to be replaced by Stephen Kitchoff, the number 17. And Trevor Nyakane has come on to replace the number 3, Vincent Koch. So both of South Africa's props have been taken away, have been replaced rather, and it seems to be clear that Yak Ninaba wants to try and refresh the pack a little bit to have a little bit more strength from the bench. But at the moment, it's a Tongan line-out. And it has been knocked in the air and claimed by South Africa. So that's a line-out lost. And Dion Fury moving forward. Etzebeth now moving forward as well. Reinach releasing it to Visa. And we're going to find out what the call is from Andrew Pearce. Well, apparently it says that South Africa have made more handling errors than Tonga. Ori there, flicking it in the air away from the Tongan lock. And you can see Jacobus Reinach there, very much in the thick of the action. A little bit frustrated so far that the Springboks haven't been able to capitalise further. And it is, in fact, a Tongan scrum due to a penalty against South Africa. So Augustin Pulu will now have a chance to, and well, Reinach there making a bit of a nuisance of himself, trying to come and intercept the scrum, but offside is the call against South Africa, and so Tonga now have a chance to clear their lines with the scrum aborted in a way. So Vincent Havili can kick this into touch. The only question is, where does he kick it? How far will he kick it, rather? Obviously aiming for the halfway line to release some pressure, and he does so expertly. Right, so Kirchhoff and Nyakane have clearly come on to try and freshen up the pack a little bit, and will certainly be interesting to see how the South Africans move forward with their scrum. But at the moment, it is a Tongan line-out. A short one, and brilliantly claimed by Anisi, who can kick it forward. And it does go a long way, but the South Africans should be able to reclaim that easily, and they do. Close to the goal line, though, so that puts some pressure on them to try to move away from them. But Grant Williams there, the number 14, sort of trying to move forward with that, but sort of pushed back. Reinach releasing it to Kirchhoff, the replacement loose head prop. Still in the ruck, not released yet. And a hook kick by Pollard Reinach high, but that is easily well claimed by the Fijian number 11, Tuitavuki. And I'm going to find out if a penalty has been awarded over here. I'm going to find out what the call is. A penalty against Tonga for being off feet. Always have to stand. You can never be off your feet. And so Pollard can kick this further into touch and put some pressure back on Tonga. So Grant Williams there, definitely moving well with the ball. Willie LaRue had it. Not too sure why that was called off feet, because I couldn't see anything wrong there. But 8 penalties conceded to South Africa's 6 tells the story. It's been a decent game, but the penalty count has probably been a little bit too high certainly from South Africa's point of view. And Tonga will also be thinking that if not for those penalties, the game would be a lot closer. But for the moment, South Africa moving forward very well indeed. And it is Visa who passes it to Nyakane, the replacement tight head prop. Definitely a big fella who can move forward with the ball. And it is Visa, the number 8. They're edging closer, are the Springboks. And it should only be a matter of time before they cross over. Creel, the first half replacement. Has he crossed over? Yes, he has. And that increases South Africa's lead to 18 once again. And if they convert this kick, it will go up to 20. But once again, some good movement. And you can see that the obviously the switch in attack, really. You think they'd be passing it to the right, but instead they pass it to the left, and that sort of catches the Tongan defence off guard. Still trying their best to defend it, but you can see the directions from where the South Africans are coming in, and Jesse Creel touching down quite effortlessly. So Handré Pollard now, who's been perfect with his conversions tonight, now has a 4th kick off centre from the right, but he should be able to get this over, and you can tell how much of a difference his kicking has made to the team already. Obviously, the other Springbok who was kicking ahead of him wasn't really doing that much of a good job. Kind of reminds me of how the South Africans recalled Morné Steyn, who had long since retired, of course, for the Lions series against Alan Wynne-Jones's men, and Stein was, of course, the one who kicked South Africa to victory in the third and final test to secure the series there. And South Africa making some more changes. Their number 20, Kwagga Smith, and the number 22, Manny Libak, have come on. Manny Libak, of course, was the one who was entrusted with the kicking duties. And Smith has come on for Visa. I'm going to find out who Libak has replaced. I can't see him replacing Pollard. And there's been a replacement from the Tongan side as well. Two, in fact. Sam Lucy has been replaced by the number 19, Adam Coleman. And Samuel Mole has come on for the hooker, Paul Nguamo. So it's always a positional replacement in these cases. Hookers replace hookers, props replace props, locks replace locks, and that's sort of how it proves. And the players are all numbered from 1 to 23 in a very specific way, which reflects that. And the number 15 there, getting his hands to the ball, but losing it, reclaiming it though. And of course, South Africa having scored this try means that they now have the bonus point they need if they go on to win this game. And another infringement potentially now being referred to the television monitor. So we're going to find out who is there. Andre Pollard showing Manny Libak's levels. I think Libak has in fact replaced Pollard after he's done his work for the night. So well done. Scotland or Ireland, whoever wins goes through, unless Ireland gets a losing bonus point. Interesting indeed. But Chelsea fans saying Ireland should beat Scotland easily enough. And big up to Mr. Reynolds. And appreciate the love there, Coach's Corners clips. Well, it's a penalty against South Africa, and clearly Andrew Pearce was not happy with what was going on. Some serious foul play going on there, not very serious, but Pearce telling Khaleesi to tell his boys to, just cool it and pipe down a little bit. And another replacement for Tonga, it is the number 21, Tane Takalua, who replaces Augustine Pulu at scrum half. And Havili sends that kick all the way down to the South African goal line. So there is a chance that they could still quite possibly score another try to add some respectability to their scoreline. Getting it to double digits and trying to go on from there will certainly be, a source of encouragement. But a quick line out from the replacement hooker, and the number 3 once again, Tamefuna, outstanding with his ball carrying skills, moving forward and gaining yardage. And Tonga once again moving forward brilliantly. The replacement scrum half, Takalua, releasing the ball. Tamefuna once again moving excellently well, taking a few Springboks with him. And Tonga once again moving forward. They could possibly they're going towards the goal line. And still not quite able to release it just yet. Still hoping to try and move forward, but still stopped in their tracks. But Takalua now releases the ball. Tamefuna going to ground. The Springboks pushing back and pushing back hard, but Tonga still have the ball. A possible drop goal? No, going for goal, going for the try. The Fijian number 12, not a knock-on. Havili passing it to Inisi, and he touches down magnificently. Tonga's second try of the night. Definitely something to savour. and that decreases the deficit from 20 to 15. And so once again, Vincent Havili has another kick. His name is spelled fine, and that was a fine try. But I believe it is pronounced fine. I could be wrong though. But a great piece of movement. Tameifuna once again the inspiration. Nobody marking Inisi there, and Inisi touching down quite finely in the far corner. Now, of course, the consequence is that Havili has a rather difficult kick, and he's already missed a conversion earlier, and you can see that the South Africans were not expecting to concede a try in that manner. So does this put the cat amongst the pigeons? It will remain to be seen. Conversion shot clock has just started counting down to 25, 24, and it is from the right. Not a very easy kick for Havili, and he's missed one earlier from the left, and does this, and once again, he's completely skewed that away, his second miss of the tournament. So those two missed conversions also making a bit of a difference. But once again, Tonga proving that they can definitely play some good rugby, and they're coached well by an Aussie World Cup winner in Tutai Kefu. No comments as of yet, so back to the action, and it will be the Springboks once again to kick it forward. And Nche seems to have come back onto the field. Maybe it was a blood replacement that forced him off. But Tameifuna, outstanding as he has been tonight, playing a big role. Of course, he scored Tonga's first try and played a big role in the second. He has been replaced by Joe Apikatoa. 10 ball carries, 5 tackles made. The Fijian captain leading by example. But the kickoff not yielding the best results for Tonga. South Africa have managed to claim the ball after an awkward bounce. And could they score a try from here? They're looking really good. Dwayne Vermeulen moving forward, but stopped in his tracks. South Africa's replacement scrum half is Jaden Hendrikse, who has come on for Reinach. Hendricks again. Hendricks releasing it to William LaRue. And I believe that is a penalty against Tonga for holding on. So the replacement fly half, Manny Libuk, who was in fact dropped for this game in favour of Pollard, now has a chance to try and possibly score a few points himself, and he was, of course, the one who kicked that into touch. And I believe Tonga seem to have won that back, have they? Line-up from South Africa, and wasn't very well claimed by Marvin Ori this time around. A 6th handling error for South Africa. Something they're going to have to watch for when they face, in all likelihood, France in the quarterfinals. As things stand, this is South Africa's last game. They should be expected to pick up the bonus point tonight, and they end up topping the group with 15 points. But Ireland are on 14 and Scotland are on 10. And so Scotland will need to beat Ireland with the bonus point to stand any chance of going through. But if Ireland claim the losing bonus point, Scotland are out. Ireland, of course, should be expected to beat Scotland, though, having arguably been the best team in the pool. Sorry, Hannah, have to say that. And It is, in fact, a Tongan scrum. So Tonga doing well to win the ball back. I believe that was a penalty against South Africa. We'll find out why soon enough. But it is the Tongan replacement sprung half Takalua who takes charge very quickly, and Tonga end up losing the ball. Not very good handling there, and Willie LaRue hoping to touch down in the corner, and he does. So South Africa once again increasing their lead to 20, and they can not too sure they'll be able to take the conversion with Willie LaRue touching down the far corner, but we're going to find out now. It was a very quick scrum, and Tonga were expected to make the most of it, but an excellent tackle from Hendricks there, seeing the number 12 of Tonga losing the ball, and South Africa reclaimed that well enough, sent it out wide to Willie LaRue, and he said, "Thank you very much indeed." Peter Aki there, not exactly, covering himself with glory. So it is, in fact, Libbok who will take this kick now, a replacement for Pollard. This is, of course, South Africa's 5th try. Will it be their 5th conversion? It is indeed their 5th conversion. Libbok recovering well from his troubles to put that straight over the put that straight between the posts rather, and South Africa's lead has now swelled to 22. I'm not sure you could say this has been a very impressive performance from the Springboks, but they've done what they needed to do. I do believe, though, that the errors that they've made that's going to be something they're going to have to look into, because I don't see them topping the group unless Ireland have an awful, awful day against Scotland, and that is very. And in fact, the South African captain has now gone off to be replaced by the number 16, Marco van Staden. Offside against Tonga, and South Africa can recover from the kickoff and move forward. Inisi there, the try scorer, getting himself into trouble from the looks of it. And another change for Tonga. The Tongan number 8, Simisi Paya, being replaced by Sione Vailanu, the number 20. Offside means that the South Africa scrum, and it will be Hendricks to orchestrate that. And Nche's gone back off to be replaced by Kitchoff, and Tonga doing well there to... in fact, it's a penalty against South Africa for collapsing the scrum. So Tonga have, in fact, won the ball back. And with 20 minutes to go, there is still a chance that they can score 1 or 2 more tries. I don't think they're going to win, though, because obviously they're just so far behind with so little time left. But a 3rd try will definitely give them some really good reason to cheer. And they certainly have impressed this tournament, and going forward, they can definitely look forward to better days ahead. Tutai Kefu with his boys in the dugout, as it were, and Yakanina, obviously with happy with the 5 tries, but obviously with a lot of work still to be done, and some more South African replacements coming in. Marvin Ori being replaced by Francois Mostert, the number 19. I knew for Rachel Mostert, who was on the volleyball team at my former university, Florida Southern College in Lakeland. Definitely not related. And penalty there against Tonga for not releasing the ball from the ruck, so Mani Libak can kick that well into touch. It spins and spins and falls just beyond the halfway line. So Tonga once again showing that they can play some really, really good offensive rugby, but just not quite able to have the nows to deal with South Africa's defence or attack. Line out for South Africa, easily won by Etzebeth, who's still on the field. Etzebeth now has the responsibility of marshalling his team through these last 18 minutes. It was, in fact, Libak who released, who was able to set the ball rolling in that sequence of events, which led to Wheeleroo scoring that try. We could potentially have another one with Kanan Moody out on the right, tackled before the goal line, but passing it forward, it is in fact Van Staden, the replacement hooker, who touches down for South Africa's 6th try of the evening. And you can see now that South Africa are just putting Tonga to the sword, really. They say that rugby is not so much a team game, but a squad game. And also the bench players who come in will certainly have a role to play in freshening things up and taking the team forward. And you can see that with the bench players coming in and making a fine impact, Tonga have been powerless. And you can see that touchdown meant a lot to Captain Khaleesi. Marco Van Staden, of course. And so it is Mani Libak who will try to convert this one all the way from the right. He'll have to try and find a way to skew it in. Face some scrutiny for his kicking, but obviously the return of Andre Pollard has, steadied the ship a little bit and possibly done wonders for Libak's confidence. And he converts this one very well indeed. So the lead has now swelled to 29. A very professional performance from the Springboks. And you have to say that given the way they're playing, it is really all over bar the shouting. And Ngama has actually come back onto the field, replacing his replacement, Moli. And Havili kicks that down. That isn't really claimed well, but South Africa's number 2, Dion Fury, is able to get that well enough after the bounce. And Hendricks will try and release that. And he does. Libak can now kick that high. And he does. It won't go into touch. It wasn't claimed very well indeed at all. And it bounced, in fact, off the Fijian number 11. I have to say that Tuitavaki has normally been really good with his claiming. But Tonga do have the ball back. And Havili does kick that a long way. It won't go into touch, or will it? Yes, it will. And so Tonga gamely looking to fight back, possibly take their score to 20 with a try and a conversion, perhaps. In fact, it was Willie LaRue who thought he had it, but inadvertently ended up pushing that into touch. So Paul Nguamo coming back onto the field to orchestrate the lineouts. And he's another one here. indeed. And Tonga are now going to look to try and take advantage of this. They've got men out on the side. It is an EC who scored the second try for Tonga. I keep losing track. Why do I keep saying Fiji again? It's ridiculous. I do apologize, everyone. But Tonga now moving forward. Really, 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 really impressive work from the bench. And still not able to release it, though, from the ruck. But it will, in fact, be, yep, not releasing once again. So a penalty to South Africa. And Libbok now has the easy job of kicking this into touch on the halfway line, and he does so with minimal fuss. Tonga have already managed to score more tries than Ireland were able to do against South Africa. More than Scotland could do, but the most important thing was that Ireland were able to win. And South Africa couldn't do very much against Ireland. And it's a lineup that's eventually won with difficulty. It's surprisingly, it's Dion Fourie who is not taking the Lions anymore, but it is Grant Williams now bursting forward, but play has been pulled back. We're going to find out why. Willie LaRue is not very happy with that call. We're going to find out what's going on here. It was Francois Mostert who was able to somehow reclaim the ball. And a forward pass from the looks of it. Yep, forward pass. Sorry, Willie. Silly Willie, if you will. And so you can see that the South Africans have recovered. They were dominated in terms of ball carriage and meters made by the Tongans, but they've managed to find their way back in and fight back hard. And we have another replacement for the Tongans. Fekitoa has gone off, and we're going to find out who his replacement is. The number 23, Afusipa Tamoepel. I try to get these pronunciations right, and as you can see on the bottom left-hand corner, when I remove the banner, I've got a name which isn't easily pronounceable itself. Tongan scrum turning into a maul. In fact, the South Africans destroying that scrum very well indeed. And Tonga penalised for collapsing it. So, Manny Libbok there. Left-footed this time. And he kicks that into touch. I don't think I've ever seen a fly half who can kick with both feet. Very impressive. I mean, clearly he's right-footed, but his left one's not that bad either. I wonder if he wanted to use that angle or was probably taking the mickey. But with about 10 minutes to go, it's pretty much academic, really. Credit to Tonga. They haven't disgraced themselves at all, but I think they've just been found wanting in terms of rugby nows and know-how. And South Africa passing that out again. It is the number 12. Well, play's been stopped by Andrew Pearce. I'm going to find out why. The South African number 20, Quagga Smith, thought he had a chance there, but South Africa obviously penalised, maybe for an offside. I don't quite know. But Havili kicks that into touch effortlessly enough beyond the goal line, and I mean the halfway line, and Tonga release it. So we'll find out what it is. It's actually the number 12, Esterhuizen, who was able to try and move forward, but I think Andy Pearce saw something there that he didn't quite like. And more Tongan replacements afoot. We're going to find out who they are. It is, of course, at the moment a Tongan line-out. Nguama to take it, and well won indeed. And Eventually finding its way through. Could have been intercepted easily. With 10 minutes left, I think Tonga are going to look for a third try, and they've replaced their loose head prop, Siegfried Pisihoy, with the number 17, Tau Kolamatangi. Going into phase 7 of this rock, and South Africa have managed to reclaim the ball and still trying to push forward with it. Hendricks now kicking that forward, but that should be reclaimed very easily. And that is kicked well forward. Again, reclaimed. Libak now running forward very well, looking very slim indeed. And hoping to take that forward, but the Fijian number 22 was able to reclaim that. A nice little punt forward. The bounce back. And it is with the Tonga number 22, who touches over magnificently for their third try. Patrick Pellegrini. Well, we're going to find out who he came on for, but talk about a super sub right there. It's as if, you blink and you miss it, really. It all started from, Libak having the ball, but then not quite able to take it forward. I mean, a misplaced pass over there, which was well reclaimed by the Tonga number 23. And then Pellegrini, who would come on. A cheeky chip forward. The reverse bounce back. Back with Pellegrini. And all he had to do was bundle right over. Brilliant stuff. And that will provide a lot of cheer for the Pacific Islanders. If they can reduce the arrears to 22 and take their points tally to 20, that would be fine. And in fact, it looks as though Pellegrini has come on for Havili. So he will be expected to convert his own try. Talk about having an impact off the bench there. Brilliant stuff. But like Havili, he mucks up his kick. And the lack of conversions have really hurt Tonga in a way. They've had 3 tries and 1 penalty, but no conversions for those tries. But they can certainly go home, after this match with their heads held high, knowing that they scored 3 tries against this Springbok team. Of course, the only thing that matters at the end of the day is that Tonga didn't win this game. Ireland won theirs against the Springboks, but definitely some signs to take going forward. And could we have another one? The Tonga number 23 passing it to number 15, Inisi, who scored the. Inisi had a fine idea, but was trying to chip it forward. But Jesse Creel, who had come on in the first half for him, Mapimpi said, "Nope, not tonight." But this has been an absolutely amazing game of rugby. 8 tries. 5 for South Africa, 3 for Tonga. And you just wonder that if their kicking had been better, would the scoreline have been, a lot closer? Maybe we could have had a huge game on our hands. 42-17, to 27. You can see that there's a 15-point difference, and definitely would have. One thing I can tell you, though, is that the scoreline hasn't really reflected just how well Tonga have played. Inisi there, trying to chip it forward, but Jesse Creel snapping that up with those big hands of his. And you can see the Tongan supporters are very proud of their team, having given the defending world champions a run for their money. I'll take a look at who the other replacements are. Of course, Tamoepo came on a little bit earlier for Fekitoa, the number 13. And we could have another Tongan try over here. bruising forward and really, really making the Springboks work hard in defence. One of the substitutes, of course, Tamoepo, the number 23, pushed back, but still pushing forward are the Tongans. Fifita, the number 4, also doing his best to move it forward. It is Takalua who has to come back over there, but still can't quite release the ball yet. But Nguamo there ends up taking the ball and trying to move forward. Fifita, number 4. He has to claim the ball, and looks as if it's a penalty against Tonga, and I think we're going to find out the infringement very soon. In at the side. Just can't afford to do that. You just can't. You just can't. And these penalty counts of penalties obviously have been Tonga's Achilles heel tonight. Yep, you can clearly see they're going in at the side, and not a call that really makes the Tongans very happy. And now South Africa have regained a lot of territory. They lead, but only just 53-47. But very nearly lost that line out there. Jesse Creel moving forward through the centre. Huge pass all the way out to Kanan Moody, trying to chip the ball forward, but stopped in his tracks by Anisi. And, well, a penalty has been rather quickly awarded, I think. And it's a lost lineup for South Africa. No, it isn't. Looks as though, once again, their naivety and inexperience has let them down a little bit. And we are 2 minutes away from the end of the game. Let's check some of the comments. Please don't do this to Partois. LOL. Fair play indeed. It has indeed been a good game. Glad you agree, Chelsea fan. So South Africa should go home with the points, and they top the group with their campaign, their group stage campaign over and done with. But Ireland and Scotland will have it all to play for now. It is Hendricks, the replacement scrum half, who will orchestrate the scrum. South Africa desperately wanting to score the final try of the game and have the last word here. And they're going to want to try and show that although they have been picked off at times by the Tongans, they still have been the dominant side. And of course, they've been the dominant side. They've been more clinical, but certainly a lot of room for improvement once they get to the quarterfinals. And whether they face France or New Zealand, they could be in for a difficult game. I know South Africa did beat New Zealand very convincingly. In fact, they thrashed them in a warm-up game prior to the tournament. But New Zealand have picked up a little bit of momentum, albeit against teams which are not really in their league. 15 seconds to go before the end of normal time. South Africa want to try, and they're not going to stop at anything to try and make sure they get it. Esterhuizen on his own. Tripped up near the goal line, but he still has the ball. Hendricks. Hendricks once again releasing it to Kitchoff, the replacement loosehead prop. And Etzebeth, the experienced Springbok with over 100 caps to his name, The number 19 is Mostert, Francois Mostert, the replacement lock. The number 20, and does he touch down in the centre? Quagga Smith. Yes, he does. Well, a pretty good way to end it at the end. As far as South Africa are concerned, a well-worked try and should be an easy conversion. And this could very well be the end of action from Marseille. Libbok with the easiest of conversions to increase South Africa's lead to 31. The conversion is good. And is that the end of proceedings? Yes, that is. And so full time from Marseille, South Africa wrapping this up with a 6-try win. 7, actually, I should be wrong. 7 tries over Tonga, all converted. Tonga scoring 3 of their own, which weren't converted, and that pretty much told the whole story. And so South Africa finished their campaign with 15 points from 4 games, 3 bonus points, topping the group momentarily. Ireland are on 14 points and Scotland are on 10. So the Ireland-Scotland game will be a winner-takes-all game, effectively. If Scotland do manage to beat Ireland with a bonus point, unlikely as it may seem, then they could end up going through. But Ireland, all they need to do is get a losing bonus point or beat Scotland handily, and they are through. If they beat Scotland, of course, then they will almost definitely qualify as group winners. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what the potential group lineups will be. Well done, South Africa. But listen, full marks to Tonga as well for their continued endeavour. Scoring 3 tries against the defending champions is definitely not small potatoes. Definitely a lot of good signs to take forward in subsequent tournaments, and credit to Tutai Kefu and the way he has managed the team very well. Now, his real name is actually Albertus Stephanus Smith. I think he's half Afrikaans, half English from the looks of it. And I'm not too sure how he has the name of Quagga. A quagga is another name, of course, spelt differently for a zebra-like animal, which ended up becoming extinct. That was spelled Q-U-A-G-G-A, and he spelt it K-W-A-G-G-A. So I'm not too sure why he's given that nickname. He's opted to go by that name. Maybe Hanno can fill us in on that. Yep, there have been 70 people who have viewed this. Hopefully, we are 3 away from 500 subscribers. So if you can do that, that would be terrific. Chelsea fan, of course, saying fair play to the Tongans. And this is where, of course, we will end proceedings. It has been certainly a very engrossing game and a lot to talk about for both teams. Obviously, South Africa can be very... Yep, Coach's Corner agreeing Tonga was impressive, and I'm sure you'll have a lot to say about the South Africans, how they were able to... I mean, they were clinical and they did excellently well enough, but some of the errors that they made, especially when it came to, some of the handling errors, were certainly not of the very best. And they're going to have to look to really improve on some of their play when they play their quarterfinal. So for Ireland, of course, obviously they had bragging rights having beaten South Africa, but now they've got to do it all over again against Scotland. But I really can't see beyond an Ireland win. They've arguably been the best team throughout this tournament. Them and maybe France, I would say. Wales have also not been too far behind. I mean, they had a slow start. And Coach's Corner saying South Africa did play like it was a training session, and we certainly weren't clinical as we were against Ireland, so going to have to fix up there. And Yeah, certainly a very interesting perspective, and certainly when we talk about that more detail, we'll look into that maybe. But once again, thanks a lot to every single one of you who have joined in today. We've it's been a somewhat short stream, coming up to 2 hours. Nothing much else to talk about really. Obviously, South Africa securing their spot in the quarterfinals um, at a canter. 7 tries, all converted, bonus point gained. But Tonga have certainly gained a new respect. And an update, of course, we are now 1 away from 500. I wonder if you would actually like me to stay on here so that we could possibly wait for the 500th one to, uh, you know, introduce him or herself, maybe. But I guess I'm not too sure that would be the wise thing to do necessarily. We might have to wait until another stream or let it be done overnight. But definitely there will be a special stream to mark that. And once again, let me say thanks to all of the people who've joined the chat. Daz Reynolds, Chelsea fan. Thanks a lot for giving me company, and I hope you enjoyed watching the game as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. Again, my commentary isn't exactly perfect, but I am trying to improve as I go forward. And 5 more minutes. If not, then we end. So ending it clean on 2 hours time. I think that might be a good call. Yeah. So, well, I mean, if we keep it going for 5 minutes, I'm not too sure what we can possibly talk about. And wait, have we reached it yet? I think that's the signal. So I will end this. But once again, thanks a lot to all of you, and really grateful to all of you for the company you've given me tonight and the support that you've shown to the channel. Our coverage of the Rugby World Cup will continue with more pool games and obviously more pools being concluded. I mean, none have been concluded as of yet, but a lot of big storylines from the pool stage. Australia's tournament being absolutely disastrous. I cannot see them going through to the quarterfinals. Fiji have looked very impressive in beating Australia and doing what they needed to do, and they will definitely go through. They also gave Wales a very good run for their money. England, of course, not really breaking a sweat, being efficient and clinical enough. And Ireland also being extremely clinical. France, very clinical. The New Zealanders, recovering from a poor start to do as well as they can, and they should be able to qualify for the quarterfinals themselves. I'm not too sure they'll necessarily reach the semi-finals or the final, but at least they can be happy with the way they've recovered. But still more rugby to come, still more sporting action to come on this channel. As Hanno said, if you enjoy cricket, if you enjoy football, if you enjoy rugby or other sports that he enjoys covering, then this is definitely the channel for you to be on. Always a pleasure to be a part of this as a co-host or what have you. Also a pundit in some ways, and enjoy some really good talks with him and other guests on our panel. And I will definitely see you again very soon. Until then, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. If it's still early for you, if you're about to go to bed or about to have your dinner, make sure you are well fed and well tucked into bed. Stay safe, stay happy, but don't do anything that Hannah or I wouldn't do. And for now, though, I bid all of you a warm adieu. Cheers, everyone.